The screen on my father's laptop froze, revealing an open email with my name in the subject line. My university graduation photos, ones they'd never seen, stared back at me from the attached document. 3 years of carefully maintained secrets exposed in an instant. Maiden Ann Thompson, Bachelor of Science in Data Science, summa cum laude. My father's voice crawled up my spine as he appeared in the doorway. The prestigious University of Chicago logo gleamed in the corner of the diploma image. What the hell is this? The graduation cap I'd hidden in my suitcase suddenly felt heavier in my hands. I'd planned to reveal everything tonight, on my terms. Now the truth hung suspended between us in his study, exposed prematurely by a careless tech glitch and auto-synced email. I can explain, I managed, but the thunderous expression on his face told me he wasn't interested in explanations. Community college, he spat, advancing into the room. Local dorms, that was our agreement. Behind him, my mother appeared, her face cycling through confusion, shock, and betrayal. We've been sending money to your account all this time. For books. I never asked for that money. My voice emerged stronger than I expected. I returned every cent to a savings account in your name. Check your statements. My sister Olivia slipped past them both, her eyes narrowing as she scanned the email over Dad's shoulder. You've been lying to everyone for years, she said, her voice tinged with something that sounded almost like admiration. While I've been planning my wedding, you've been living my actual life, I finished for her. My name is Rachel. I'm 25 and a data analyst. This is the story of how I stopped being invisible. I'd arrived home yesterday after 3 years of carefully maintained distance, summoned by increasingly desperate messages about Olivia's 2-week wedding extravaganza. The golden child's perfect day needed perfect family attendance. I'd planned to reveal my real career, my real life at dinner tonight, to finally be seen. Instead, I stood frozen in my father's study, watching 3 years of calculated independence collapse in seconds. The diploma image on the screen seemed to pulse with each heartbeat, concrete evidence that the invisible daughter had built a life they knew nothing about. I don't understand, my mother whispered, sinking into the leather chair by the bookcase. Why would you lie about something like this? The question pierced through years of practiced restraint. Because you never saw me, I said simply. Because when I got 5 A's in 3rd grade, you nodded without looking up from your magazine. Because when I won the science fair in 10th grade, you and Dad were at Olivia's soccer game. Because when I got accepted to Chicago, you told me it would make Olivia feel inferior if I went. My father's face flushed dark red. That's not... It is. The words felt like release after years of careful silence. I make 6 figures as a product analyst at Tech Fusion. I have my own apartment in Chicago. I've been supporting myself completely since I was 18. That's impossible, he stammered, but uncertainty had crept into his voice. Check my LinkedIn profile, call my office. I've been someone else entirely while you were too busy with your golden child to notice. Olivia's fiancé Elliot appeared in the doorway, his perfectly timed entrance familiar from countless family gatherings where he'd positioned himself at the center of attention. Everything okay in here? His practiced concern made my skin crawl. Something about his carefully constructed persona had bothered me from the moment we'd met yesterday. The investor with vague business claims, the charming smile that never quite reached his eyes, the way my father hung on his every word about exclusive investment opportunities. I looked at my family, my father's rigid certainty, my mother's conflicted loyalty, Olivia's mixture of shock and defensiveness, Elliot's calculated concern, and made a decision. If they wouldn't see me, perhaps they'd see the truth I was about to reveal. Elliot, I said, turning to face him directly, which cryptocurrency exchanges do you primarily use for your investment platform? His smile flickered momentarily. Oh, a mix. Mostly private platforms. Exclusive access. I nodded, the analyst in me recognizing the evasion. Fascinating. And your company's based where exactly? We're decentralized, he replied smoothly. The beauty of blockchain, right? Partners in Singapore, Zurich, Dubai. My father's warning look told me to stop, but 3 years of independence had erased my fear of his disapproval. I opened my laptop, pulled up a browser window, and typed a name, then another, and another. Ethan Lewis, Edward Lambert, Elliot Lawson, and now Elliot Brady. I turned the screen toward them, showing 4 identical, smiling faces under different names. Same man, different identities. The room went silent except for Olivia's sharp intake of breath. "This is absurd," Elliot said, but his eyes darted toward the door. "Is it?" I pulled up another window. 3 different women in 3 different states, all with the same experience of a man with your description, using names similar to yours, who disappeared with their money right before the wedding. "I've never seen these women in my life," Elliot insisted, but the practiced charm had vanished from his voice. "Maiden, this is ridiculous," my father snapped. "You show up after 3 years and immediately try to ruin your sister's happiness with these fabrications." I looked at each of them. My father's angry disbelief, my mother's uncertainty, Olivia's defensive hurt, Elliot's calculated concern, and realized they couldn't see what was right in front of them. They didn't want the truth. They wanted the comfortable fiction that made Olivia special and Elliot a prince. "When he disappears with everything you have," I said quietly, gathering my belongings, "remember that someone tried to warn you." The weight of their rejection followed me out the front door. For the first time, I wasn't hiding who I was. I was walking away with the truth they refused to see. My phone buzzed incessantly as I prepared coffee in my Chicago apartment 2 days later. I flipped it over. 17 missed calls, 23 text messages, 5 voicemails. The first voicemail played on speaker. "Maiden, he's gone." My father's voice cracked, a sound I'd never heard before. "Elliot disappeared last night. Call us back." The second. "The accounts are empty. Everything. Even your mother's retirement fund." The third caught me off guard. "The police said without a written contract, there's little they can do." My mother's voice trembled. "They called it a civil matter. Please, Maddie, we need you to come home." She hadn't called me Maddie since I was 10. Olivia's text glowed on the screen. "You were right. I didn't listen. Please help us." From my 15th floor window, Lake Michigan stretched blue and boundless, 15 stories up and a lifetime away from the family that only saw me when disaster struck. I booked a flight home for the second time that month, but this time I packed only enough clothes for 3 days. The wedding tent stood half dismantled in the backyard when my cab pulled up. White chairs stacked against the fence. The elaborate flower arrangements, now wilting, still adorned the porch rails. My mother opened the door before I knocked, her makeup-free face aged 5 years in 2 days. "You came," she whispered, arms hovering for a hug I didn't step into. My father paced the living room, phone pressed to his ear. He hung up when he saw me, his eyes flicking to my designer handbag and the watch on my wrist. "We thought perhaps you might be able to help with," he cleared his throat, "financial assistance until we sort this out." "What will the Hendersons think?" My mother wrung her hands. "And the country club board? Your father is treasurer." Olivia sat curled on the couch, wearing sweatpants and one of my old high school t-shirts she must have found in my former bedroom. Her eyes were swollen. "If you had been more supportive from the beginning, I might have listened." Her voice lacked its usual edge, but the blame landed familiar nonetheless. "You were always so negative about him." I set my handbag on the coffee table and unbuttoned my coat. The living room felt smaller than I remembered, the walls still displaying Olivia's dance trophies and not a single one of my academic achievements. "I can help with some things," I said, my voice steady. "Not all." My father straightened. "Now, Maiden, as your father, I can help you file police reports properly. I can contact my colleague who specializes in financial fraud recovery. I can connect you with a lawyer who handles cases like this." I ticked the points off on my fingers. "I cannot replace the money you lost." The silence stretched taut between us. "But," my mother started, I earn 6 figures, I have substantial savings, and I will not sacrifice my financial security to rescue you from a situation I explicitly warned you about. My father's face reddened. This family has supported you your entire life. A laugh escaped me, short and unexpected. Did you? When? We put a roof over your head, food on the table. That's the legal minimum, Dad. Olivia uncurled from the couch. So, you're just going to abandon us after being right? Is that what matters to you? Being right? I met her gaze steadily. What matters to me is being respected, being heard. I exhaled slowly. You need me now, but you've never wanted me. There's a difference. My mother collapsed into a chair. How can you be so cold? I learned from experts. The words slipped out before I could catch them. For the first time, they all truly looked at me. Not through me or past me. They saw the woman who built herself without their notice, who succeeded without their approval. These are my boundaries, I said quietly. I will help you navigate this legally. I will stay 3 days. I will not empty my savings account or co-sign loans. Those are my terms. My father started to speak, stopped, then tried again. When did you become this person? When you weren't looking. Father paced the living room, each heavy footfall drumming his authority into the floorboards I once tiptoed across. As head of this family, I've always made decisions with everyone's best interests at heart. He stopped, squared his shoulders toward me. This situation requires a united front. I sat perched on the edge of the same armchair where I'd curled up with books as a child, trying to disappear. Not anymore. Mother wrung her hands, wedding ring clicking against her knuckles. Blood is thicker than water, maiden. Surely you understand that now. The familiar weight of their expectations pressed down. I straightened my spine. You've always thought you were better. Olivia's voice cracked, her mascara-streaked face bearing little resemblance to the beaming bride-to-be from wedding invitations still scattered across the coffee table. Perfect maiden with her fancy job and big city life. I checked my watch. They'd been at this for 27 minutes. The coordinated pressure, the guilt, the attempt to make me fold like the paper dolls Olivia and I once played with. She got the pretty dresses. I got the torn scraps. When I was 8, I said, voice steady, I won the district spelling bee. You told me you couldn't come because Dad had an important meeting. Father's mouth opened. I raised my hand. I saw you both at Friendly's afterward with Olivia, celebrating her participation ribbon from field day. The silence hung thick as summer heat. 10th grade. My science project on agricultural runoff won state recognition. The ceremony was the same night as Olivia's choir concert, where she sang in the back row. You chose the concert. Mother's gaze dropped to her lap. My high school graduation. You left immediately after because Olivia had a date to prom and needed help with her hair. The grandfather clock ticked in the corner, marking seconds of uncomfortable truth. Christmas 2020. I got you each thoughtful gifts based on conversations we'd had that year. You gave me a generic gift card with the wrong name on it. The front door opened with a familiar creak. Aunt Patricia stood framed in the doorway, clutching her purse like a shield. I'd texted her from the airport knowing I'd need someone in my corner. The only family member who'd kept in touch during my Chicago years, sending birthday cards to my actual address and calling just to check in. I saw it all. Her voice wavered but held. Every recital you missed, every achievement you downplayed. I watched this child wilt while you fawned over her sister. Father's face flushed crimson. This is family business, Patricia. I am family, my aunt said. Someone in this room needs to acknowledge what happened in this house. I rose from the chair, my full height suddenly apparent in this room, where I spent so many years trying to shrink myself. I'll help with the house. My voice filled the space I never claimed before. I'll cover the second mortgage. I'll arrange for the credit card debt to be consolidated. Their faces flashed with relief, quickly hidden. But I won't help with your reputation. I won't pretend Olivia wasn't scammed by a man any decent background check would have flagged. I won't lie to the neighbors about where the money went. I met each of their eyes in turn. I won't attend any community functions where you parade me around as the dutiful daughter who swooped in to save the day. Father's jaw clenched. You don't get to dictate terms in my house. I do when I'm the one with the means to save it. The words tasted unfamiliar, powerful, certain. My assistance comes with legal protections for me. The money will be handled through formal channels with documentation. You won't have direct access to any funds. Think of it as a business transaction, not a family bailout. Mother's eyes widened. We're not some charity case. No, you're not. Charity doesn't come with requirements. This does. From my briefcase, I withdrew 3 copies of a document my lawyer had prepared. The paper made a crisp sound as I placed them on the coffee table. This outlines the terms of my financial assistance. One-time solution, not an ongoing relationship. I'll transfer the funds to pay off the second mortgage directly to the bank. The credit card consolidation will go through a financial advisor I've selected. This is ridiculous, Father blustered, but his eyes tracked the papers. Page 2 is an acknowledgement. I tapped the document. It states that for years, you consistently favored one child over the other, creating an environment of emotional neglect. Mother gasped. We would never sign such a thing. Then I'll leave, and you can explain to the bank why you can't make next month's payment. The room fell quiet except for Olivia's ragged breathing. Father reached for his reading glasses with shaking hands. You've become hard. I've become honest. I remained standing. The world didn't break me, neither did you, but I won't pretend anymore. He read silently, pen hovering above the signature line. His hand trembled. Your mother and I did our best. Your best was deeply unequal. The words emerged without anger, just truth. 10 minutes later, all 3 signatures marked the page. I texted my financial advisor to proceed with the arrangements we'd discussed. I pulled out my phone and made a call. Ms. Winters, we're proceeding with Plan A. Yes, the full arrangement. I listened briefly. Thank you. The documentation has been signed. You'll receive copies within the hour. I turned to my family. Rebecca Winters is a certified financial advisor who specializes in family debt restructuring. She'll contact you tomorrow to begin the process. Everything will go through her, not me. Father opened his mouth to object. This isn't negotiable, I said. She'll ensure the mortgage gets paid and creditors are handled properly. The money never touches your accounts directly. I gathered my things without rush or ceremony, no tearful embraces, no promises to call soon. I hope you find peace with your choices. I straightened my jacket, checked that I had everything. Aunt Patricia followed me onto the porch. Will you be all right? The afternoon sun warmed my face as I looked at the street where I once waited for a school bus, dreaming of escape. I already am. I walked to my rental car, back straight, steps measured. The rearview mirror showed the house growing smaller, but I didn't look back. Some bridges can't be rebuilt. Some shouldn't be. Sunlight streams through the bay windows of my home office, casting golden red rectangles across the maple desk where I've arranged my life in neat, purposeful rows. My Chicago apartment is gone, traded for this craftsman bungalow with its solid bones and history. 1 year since I walked away from the Thompson family drama. The diploma now hangs centered on the wall. Maiden Ann Thompson, Bachelor of Science in Data Science, summa cum laude. No longer hidden behind winter coats, no longer secret. My laptop chimes with an incoming video call from Julia, the 3rd student in my mentorship program for first-generation college women. Her face appears, bright with news about a scholarship interview. I used that preparation technique you taught me, she says, tucking her dark hair behind her ear. When they asked why I deserved it more than others, I didn't apologize or minimize. I told them exactly what I'd accomplish with it. I lean forward. Her smile breaks wide. They called an hour ago. I got it. You earned it, I correct her gently. There's a difference. After the call, I step into my backyard garden. Spring has coaxed the first green shoots from soil I've amended and nurtured through seasons of patience. My fingers brush the tender leaves of tomato seedlings. These will grow strong, unlike the withered roots I left behind. The letter from my therapist, Dr. Watson, sits on the patio table, 1 year of weekly sessions, documented in her precise handwriting. Patient demonstrates significant progress in establishing healthy boundaries and recognizing her inherent value separate from family validation. Wednesday afternoons still belong to the community center, where I teach financial literacy to young women. Last week, Tanya, a quick-witted 17-year-old with a spark that reminds me of myself, spotted the warning signs in a pyramid scheme targeting her mother. I showed her the numbers don't add up, she told me, spine straightening with pride. My phone buzzes with Aunt Patricia's monthly update. I scan the text. Dad and Mom still struggling to refinance the house. Olivia working part-time at the local bank, attending therapy twice a month. No mention of attempts to contact me directly. The boundary holds firm on both sides. The garden timer chimes. Time to prepare for tonight. The community center auditorium fills with steady applause as I walk toward the podium. The mentorship program I founded has been recognized for its impact on first-generation college students. The award feels substantial in my hands. Glass and metal catching the light, solid and real. I scan the crowd as I speak. No empty chairs where parents should sit. Instead, Dr. Watson nods encouragingly from the third row. My neighbor, Mrs. Grayson, who brings me heirloom tomato seedlings, beams with unrestrained pride. Colleagues from work who value my analytical mind for exactly what it is. Friends who ask how I'm doing and actually wait for the answer. When I started this program, I tell the audience, I thought I was helping others find what I never had. What I discovered instead was that worth doesn't come from external validation. It grows from within when we truly see ourselves. Back home, I opened my laptop to finalize details for the Thompson Visibility Scholarship for academically accomplished students whose achievements have been overlooked. The essay question reads, describe a time your contributions went unrecognized and how you maintained your sense of value. A notification pops up from Sarah, my first mentee. You saw me when no one else did. That changed everything. As twilight softens the edges of the day, I water my garden with methodical care. The tomato plants stand alongside peppers, zucchini, and herbs, each one chosen, planted, and tended by hands that know their own strength. The rustle of leaves in the evening breeze sounds like whispered approval. I touch the stem of a rose bush I pruned severely last fall. It's sprouting new growth, stronger than before. Some things grow stronger when cut back, I whisper, a smile tugging at my lips as I survey the life I've built, thriving, rooted, and finally completely visible.